We're going to be looking at summer homework number 15. In this case, we are solving a quadratic equation. The way we know we're solving a quadratic equation is that we have an x squared and an equal sign. We're trying to find the values of x that will make this equation true. There are multiple ways to solve quadratic equations, but today we're going to be solving by factoring. The first step when you're solving by factoring is to make the quadratic equal to 0. And we'll see why in a second. Here it's not equal to 0, it's equal to -2. And so we will add 2 to both sides. 2 is not a like term with any of these ones, and so we can't combine it. Instead, we'll rewrite it in descending order of exponent, x squared minus 3x plus 2, and it's equal to 0. Now that it's equal to 0, we can factor this. This is a simple quadratic to factor because there is no coefficient in front of the x squared. And since that is the case, we can factor it into a binomial times a binomial. The way we factor it into a binomial times a binomial is we know that x times x will give you the x squared. To figure out what the other two numbers are, we need to look for two numbers that multiply to make 2, but add to be -3. Sometimes people like to put a little x structure here and write down that they're looking for two numbers that multiply to make 2 and add to be -3. In this case, the two numbers that multiply to make 2 and add to be -3 are -2 and -1. A negative times a negative is a positive, and -2 plus -1 is -3. So x minus 2 times x minus 1 will multiply to give you this. We're just rewriting this as a product. Once you have it rewritten as a product, we can use what's called the zero product principle, which is that if you have two things multiplying, here are two things, A and B, A is being multiplied by B to make 0, and if you have two things that multiply to make 0, one of them has to be 0. Either x minus 2 has to equal 0, or x minus 1 has to equal 0, because we need two things that multiply to make 0. If x minus 2 equals 0, we can solve this linear equation and get that x equals 2. 2 minus 2 equals 0. Or, if x minus 1 equals 0, 1 is the value of x that makes this true. And so x could be 2 or 1. Those are the two solutions to this quadratic equation.